Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek, and welcome to day 25 of our 31 days of Halloween reviews. So we are moving right along, coming down to the end. A little sad. Part of me is a little excited that I don't have to make these videos every night again. I should have prepared a little earlier, but it's all current, and that's what people like, right? But no, definitely part of me is going to be a little sad to see it go. It's been a great way to celebrate Halloween the entire month long and really get into the spirit and the geeky spirit at that. So hopefully you've had the same experience. I do appreciate everyone who's been along with me for the ride. And if you came in late or missed any videos, do click on that link in the right-hand corner for the playlist that I've made for all these videos. You can scroll through, see what strikes your fancy. We've covered everything from Marvel to DC to Dynamite to, oh my gosh, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the Archies, just about everything that we could cover. So lots of great stuff. Today we are returning to one of the Marvel compilations that they've just released this month, actually. So they've gone back into all of their great classic horror titles from the 70s and 80s and released new compilations of them. Recently we looked at Werewolf by Night, so if you missed that video, again, I'll put the link up there. That was a lot of fun and a great title. And here we have Marvel Horror, the magazine collection. This is kind of a catch-all because they've released Werewolf by Night, Tomb of Dracula, the Frankenstein title, and then this is sort of everything else, kind of. And, as you can see from the cover, we've got stories with Blade, Dracula, Satana, and other people as well there. So, I haven't having had these titles just be released this month, I haven't had a chance to read all through them yet because I've been doing a lot of reading this month and going through. But I did read through a little bit, enough to recommend, and mark some good places there. So the first thing about this is that it's black and white. Now, if you're not used to reading black and white comics, I know that can turn some people off. It's kind of the same lame argument that people have for not wanting to watch black and white movies. It's like, really, just get over it. I mean, this is a great a great medium that when they're written and drawn to be black and white. Now, I don't like it when you've got a color comic, like I mentioned when we did the Alice Cooper Last Temptation video by Neil Gaiman, that series. And that was a novel written to be in color, and then they released like a black and white version that was just silly. But when you have a good comic that's written to be black and white, the inker, works with the shading, and it's very much like a black and white film. It's kind of like cinematography, so to speak. You've got they're working with shades and color, doing things with that. That's supposed to be its own unique medium. So in the place of colors, you've got shading and shadows and stuff like that, cross hatching and such. Another really cool thing the black and white does for this horror content is that it adds this element of ambiguity to it. With color, everything is going to pop out on the page a lot better, and you're going to really see everything defined. But without the color, I'm trying to find, so without the color, for example, look at this is one of the vampires, and this Lady Marguerite, this is leader of the vampires there. You can see, trying to close up there, about the flesh, you can see their pupils are just sort of like half pupils. They're supposed to have very pale eyes. I think that effect, that's an example of something that would have been lost had this all of a sudden been colored in. They could have done it a number of different ways, but it just would have been pinned down and it would have been more specific. As it is now, it's far more creepier, I think. Now you can kind of fill in the gaps with your mind, and let's be honest, nothing scares you like the things that you imagine, so that's why the best horror movies don't show the monster outright necessarily. They, they show you just enough for you to fill in the gaps and really, scare yourself and everything like that. So really appreciated that element of it. They do have a title color page for the beginning of each arc, so you do have the glorious painted covers that these magazines used to have, and they're in all their natural glory there, colored. So I like that they've included those. Show you another one here. There we go. So a lot of great stuff in this magazine. I'm glad they put this one out as well, so that they've got the big names, like I said, but they still have the catch-alls. And this was great. If you missed again, go back to the Werewolf by Night, where we talk about how they were suddenly able to do horror stuff again. It was a new thing under the Comics Code Authority, and that's where these come from. So it's a very different style than, say, the classic 50s horror, Tales from the Crypt and the EC comics and stuff like that. Another thing that I appreciate that these stories do in general is that they're in the 70s, and there's a level of the exploitation stories and narratives that were in those days, but I don't really see it going into a horrible negative place with that. For example, Blade. Everybody kept telling me how much Blade was, total blaxploitation when he first came out, and maybe he was. I mean, in certain stories I just haven't read yet. But honestly, I was expecting Luke Cage levels. I really enjoy those original Power Man stories, and that was, oh my gosh, everybody's sugar and mama, and he's just talking like that. But too, that's language that was used in the '70s by certain people. So. I appreciate, though, that the horror tales, they can get sexy when they need to get sexy. But at least so far in what I've read, I haven't seen anything too horribly gratuitous. I'll give you an example. So, okay, here, she's this police detective. She's a psychic, and Blade has been framed, so she's trying to hunt down the answer. The Legion of Vampires sends some people to kill her because they don't like her asking questions. There's this struggle. In the midst of the struggle, the vampire pulls her shirt and coat off, and all of a sudden we have her in a bra. And you think, oh, okay, sure, they got to get the girl, naked or whatever. And yeah, to a certain degree, that's exactly what they're doing, for the sexy comic books or whatever. But it also serves a point in the story. He took that off to expose the crucifix that she's wearing, because that is what saves her. And she said that's what we all wear, under the clothes, so she's not going to wear that on top, because then it would look like she's out hunting vampires. So it actually served a little bit of a purpose. And then she doesn't just go around scantily clad the rest of the story. As soon as that big fight's over and Blade saves her, she's got her clothes back on and they're, going away. So little things like that. Actually, it comes from my own kind of theory on this comes from a great book that my creative writing teacher gave me in high school, way back when. But Richard Walter, Screenwriting, the Art and Craft and Business of Film and Television, and he talks about that, sex sells. So if you're going to put something sexy in a movie, you just have to have, it can't be gratuitous. You just have to have a reason for it. And he cites some film, I forgot the name of it, but where a woman works at a fish factory. So she comes home, and your introduction to her is she's taking her shirt off and rubbing lemon juice all over herself to try and get rid of the fish smell. So you've got that alluring, obviously provocative image, but it's also a character building moment, because you see how much she loathes her job and doesn't want to smell like this and stuff like that. I don't know, I haven't seen the film, so I can't speak much more to that. But just saying that if you think you might be sensitive to the '70s, it's really, I haven't seen anything gratuitous yet. I've seen wonderfully idealized forms and action adventure and escapism, and that's if you're not looking for that, then you're on the wrong channel and on the wrong title and on the wrong everything. So really great. I highly recommend this. Again, it just came out this month, and they released a few more titles I'll try to get to before the month is out. Marvel Horror Magazine, the collection, or Marvel Horror, the magazine collection. There you have it. Your comic book store should be able to order it for you, or you can grab it on Amazon or whatever. I'll link to it below in case you'd like to order it and have it a couple days to you on Prime. So all of our monsters here bid you adieu. We'll see them as well later this month. And tune in again tomorrow at 6 for another great story that is Halloween and superhero or comic book related. Until then, keep digging deeper into the superhero and Halloween stories you love. Thanks for watching.